good morning, you lovely lot. So, below this is a video that I wanted to share with you. Not everyone's on Instagram, but I felt that it was something really helpful to share with you all around how we can start to really kindly, compassionately start to lean into beliefs and stuff that's holding us back. But instead of shaming that part of ourselves, start to embrace it, work with it, and meet it with a bit of kindness, a bit of self-kindness. But what I wanted to add into this was some helpful ways to centre and get into the body when we're doing this sort of inquiry. Inevitably, when these beliefs come up, we are, more often than not, we're busy, we're in a place of overwhelm, or we're doing 3 things at once, or we're stressed, we're faced with a problem, so we're activated not in a necessarily helpful way to do some tender personal inquiry. And so a really quick, effective way to centre yourself when you start going, right, I need to lean into this, I need to see this with a bit more clarity, is to bring yourself into the body. So a really helpful way to start calming down the breath. Breath is the bridge to your nervous system. Is to start breathing in through your nose, making the smallest parting between your lips and blowing out your exhale. And while you're doing this, just starting to tap down through your arms. And then really kind of moving down through the arms to the hands. So anyone who's ever done like a workshop with me before, sometimes I do it with squeezing. So if you really need to get into your body and you're feeling pretty activated and this tapping isn't doing it for you, you can totally do squeezing down the arm instead. And then giving your hands a good squeeze right down through the fingertips and just noticing if there's any tender points, particularly in the heart of the hand and just past that meaty part of your hand. Giving it a little bit of a clear. And then doing that on the other side. Staying with that breath. And then just take a moment to feel your arms, feel any sensation that arises from the arms. And then we're going to take it across the chest. So we're going to start tapping on the sternum. So I'm using the fingertips, but if you have long fingernails, you can use this with the fists. And we're not doing this hard. We can do this, gently. We're not trying to hurt ourselves here. Coming out to the shoulders, and back in across the sternum, and just taking it down and then bringing it back up towards the collarbones a few times. And then letting your hands rest and just taking a few moments to breathe into any sensation that's arisen from that. And the next one is to just give yourself a little bit of a neck rub from, just turn my back to you for a moment, from where your tips of your shoulder blades right up. Almost like we're following those ropey muscles that run along the length of our spine, right up to where our spine meets our skull. And then when you get to that point where your spine meets your skull, you feel this kind of V point where the two meet, and then you can just with circles of the peace fingers or 3 peace fingers if that feels more comfortable, just taking some circles, running your fingers along that line of the base of your skull. Until you get to right behind the ears. And you might even move further forward so that you can take some circles of the jaw and give your jaw a good old wiggle. Make sure we're not gripping there. We talk about the jaw, but we don't actually talk about the mouth. If you feel like there's tension in your tongue, give that a good old ah. And then from here, we're just going to release any of that pressure of the hands and just hold our face in our hands. Like really tenderly, almost like you're holding the face of a loved one. Or like a grandparent used to do to you, you know, that real tender support. And then hold your hands over your eyes, let your fingers just soften over your forehead. And allow your forehead to smooth and your eyes to rest. And this might be enough. If you're still feeling a bit like your toes are cramping and stuff, you can go ahead and just give your legs a good squeeze down from your thighs. And right down to your feet and your toes. And then taking that a few times. Moving from the body out. Almost like we're trying to squeeze the stuff out that we don't want to the extremities. And then doing that through the other leg. And taking that a few more times through your leg, from the body and away. And bringing your feet to meet the floor and feel that texture of the floor or your socks against your feet, but ultimately feel the stability and the support of the floor underneath your feet. Sense your feet almost with these roots like a tree coming down through the floor. This connection, this relationship to you and the earth, you and support. Notice again if the toes begin to grip and just let them soften. Let the soles of your feet really connect to the floor. I'm going to take 5 more breaths here, breathing in through our nose, blowing it out of the lips. And with every following exhale, sense that you're just releasing anything that is going to get in the way of you seeing this situation clearly. And then once you've taken a few more breaths, just take a moment to see how you're feeling, how you're doing. And then following my guidance of the previous video. I see you, I see this belief that's coming up. I hear you, I hear what you're saying. I also feel the emotion that's arising in me. And I give that emotion, that sensation in my body some tangibility. So I know what I'm working with. I embrace the fact that this is part of my blueprint and this came from a time in my life when I was at my most vulnerable. I see this coming from my child self. From a place of fear. And then meeting yourself where you are right now, your present self. I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I embrace you. And then you have your choice of where you want to go. But whether we're preparing to do some personal inquiry as a reactive thing, or we're doing it through some journaling in the morning. This is also really helpful just before you meditate, if you don't have time to do like a whole half an hour of stretching or something, just to get into the body and just inform your nervous system there's no line to run from, and bring yourself into your meat and bones right now. And then all of a sudden we can start to listen and observe without those floods of fear-based emotions coming in. So let me know how you get on with this. This is a really simple thing that we can do throughout our day, whenever we need it. But particularly if we're going to start doing these personal inquiries and figure out what's going on so we can do something with them, then we need to get ourselves into a place, whether it takes us a minute, 2 minutes, just to prepare before we do, so we don't end up going round in circles. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm sending you all the big love. Have a good weekend.